So my name is Lukáš Fiedler, and I'm a biologist. That I think describes it pretty well. Yeah, I'm pretty ordinary, I would say. I studied at a grammar school in České Budějovice, so my high school was there. And then for university studies for bachelor's and master's, I went directly to Cambridge. Mm-hmm. And it was quite a difference to make, I would say, because it's, you know, going from a tiny little village in southern Bohemia and suddenly being all alone in the UK, it was quite something. I think the answer is multifaceted, so there's different aspects to it. But one of the important ones is the Czech Biology Olympiad. So I was doing competitions as a high schooler, and you know, I was meeting like-minded friends, and then I was going to international biology Olympiads. And there I met many people who studied in Cambridge, or you know, they knew people who did. And this way, I got the idea for the first time. But then the course that Cambridge offers was just so much better than anything else in the world I could conceive of. So the choice was obvious, I would say. I never took it as a competition, so I was kind of just sticking to what I enjoy and, you know, being myself, doing, you know, I was collecting beetles and spending all my time in nature, and then I would delve into biology. So actually I never thought about Cambridge until like 2 years before Matura exam. So I think it was my enthusiasm and not trying to compete with other people. And that's what got me there in the end, I hope. Money-wise, it was difficult, right? It was before Brexit, so it was much better than it is now. Now it's almost inconceivable to go to Cambridge because the tuition is just awful. It's extremely high, very difficult to cover it. But I was lucky enough to be supported by Bacala Foundation. So I studied in Cambridge as a Bacala scholar, and also I was supported by my parents. So this is how I managed. In two words, analytical skills. I think, so you know, just by the sheer amount of concepts learned, perhaps you would learn more at Czech universities. But what Cambridge gives you is the ability to analyze concepts, you know, deconstruct them, and you know, this kind of analytical thinking is something very special. What I enjoyed, and you know, discussions and delving deep into a problem, problem solving. That's what Cambridge gave me, and Czech universities couldn't. So ISTA is an interdisciplinary institute. It combines, so it's focused on exact sciences, and it combines neuroscience, mathematics, physics, and biology. And I was strongly attracted to ISTA especially because of this. And in that sense, it's quite comparable to Cambridge as well, because in Cambridge, I was reading a course named Natural Sciences, and this Natural Sciences course is combining, so I didn't just study biology, but as a natural scientist, you study mathematics, chemistry, physics, all at the same time, and then you specialize in something. And this interdisciplinary spirit is something that I very much enjoy, and it's something I was seeking for my PhD experience, and it's why I chose ISTA as well. Once again, I would say it's the multidisciplinarity or interdisciplinarity. So I cannot think of any Czech institute which would do what we are trying to do here. Even just on this floor, you have hardcore biologists like myself, and you have pure mathematicians. And I don't think in Czechia we have an institute like this. So I feel like that's quite special. So for my PhD, I'm working on plant signaling. So I'm interested in how plant cells activate signal transduction cascades and how they communicate with each other. And specifically, I'm looking into this plant hormone, which is known as auxin. And this hormone is very special. It was special ever since Charles Darwin discovered it, many years ago. And it underlies plant self-organization. So whatever beautiful plant organ you think about, or any sort of beautiful pattern you imagine, it originates from auxin doing its job. So I'm interested in how plants perceive auxin, how they transport it around, and how it activates signaling cascades. So it's very much basic science. I'm interested in how things function. I'm interested in how plants self-organize themselves. So it's not the primary aim to come up with agricultural applications, for instance, but actually this field of study is very much applicable in the end of the day. So if we do find something, obviously agriculture would be the way to apply it. But it's not the primary aim. We do it because it's fun. I would say, people who are seeking an academic journey and people who want to delve again in one of the concepts that the main pillars of ISTA offer. So neuroscience, maths, physics and biology. And we all mingle together, we exchange ideas. So you might as well have bumped into a mathematician on your way to the coffee machine and you wouldn't know. It helps you in being able to kind of express your ideas very well. And when you communicate with a mathematician, for instance, and you want to explain a biological concept, or vice versa, if a mathematician wants to explain something to me, then you have to go to the big picture and you have to be very clear in your ideas and in your explanations. And I feel like this allows us to do better science, and it also allows us to communicate better with the public. So it's such a wonderful place to be at. This manuscript that I described to you is focused on this ancient auxin signaling cascade. So it was investigating plant self-organization, because plants, unlike animals, they are extremely adaptable and flexible. If you lose your arm, there is no way you can grow it back. On the other hand, if you have a plant growing on a field and you cut it down, it will just regrow again. And this is very much dependent on the capacity to self-organize its tissues. And in this manuscript, we studied how this happens, and specifically in the context of roots bending alongside gravity. So if you imagine a root which is growing down, it's all happy and all is good. But then if you put it horizontal like this, the root will start bending downwards. It will align itself with gravity. And that's the sort of topic that we studied in this manuscript. This was a very extensive collaboration across many countries and with many colleagues from the laboratory. So I would say this is a fantastic example of how collaborative science is. It was such a pleasure to work on it. We don't know where or when it will be published yet, because the publishing process in science is very lengthy. So you submit it to a journal, then you have experts reviewing your work, then you have to come back to the manuscript, you have to extend the experiments, and it can take even years or something. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. It actually, goes back all the way to the first question, which was about my village, I believe, about Plav. And that's a tiny little village south from České Budějovice. And to be honest with you, this is the kind of setting that I enjoy. So I don't like big cities. They give me anxiety. Cambridge gave me anxiety, London and Prague as well. And what I love about ISTA is that it's on the outskirts. It's kind of outside of Vienna, in the middle of the woods, if you like. And I live halfway between ISTA and Vienna, and I can enjoy the nature, and also doing science in nature is just lovely. But at the same time, if I want, I can go to Vienna, and the cultural heritage and all the other leisure time activities that it offers are just amazing. So I can have the best of both worlds. It's a game changer. It's changing biology as we know it, and I would say it's democratizing biology in a way. So it allows us to work faster, more efficient. It allows us to ask new questions, and it's enabled us to attack problems which were inconceivable even 5 or 10 years ago. So the chief example is protein structures, and this is what Nobel Prize has been given for this year, right? For solving protein structures, and that's just been a tremendous help in biology. Essentially, AI has the capacity to take the knowledge that we have, for instance, the knowledge of protein structures that we had before AI, and apply this to unknown structures. So then, given an amino acid sequence, it can predict the structure of a novel protein. And this is not just, it's not just protein folding. It can be also image recognition. So, for instance, when you go to the hospital, you have your MRI taken or some other imaging technique. So then you can have AI interpreting these images and diagnosing diseases and so on. That's what's so fun about science, because there is no stereotype. I mean, at some point you can have a stereotype, but it's very much determined by the problem that you study at the moment. So sometimes I have a bioinformatic analysis and I spend the whole day at the computer, which is very common in biology nowadays. Sometimes you have to be in the lab, you have to pipette an experiment, you go to meetings, and every day is different in a way. And that's what I appreciate so much, because then if your problem takes you to a different, takes you out of your comfort zone, you have to adapt and you just have to do whatever it takes to solve it. I hope that answers the question in a way. So every day is different. First of all, I would say get in touch. I didn't walk this path alone, and I have been helped, I have received help from many different people in various stages of their careers. So from my fellow students, from older students, but also from Czech expats who are now professors in the UK, who are now professors in Prague or Vienna. And, just sending an email sometimes really helps, and they can advise you what to do next, or where to apply, how to secure an internship position or something. So that's the first piece of advice. And the second piece of advice would be just be bold, be adventurous, because it's fun. It's much more fun than staying at the same spot forever and just staying at home. So I also took my journey as an adventure. And part of the reason I went to Cambridge was because I took it as an adventure. And last but not least, just do what you enjoy, do what you like. That's the most powerful note you can play. Just sticking with what you enjoy, exuding enthusiasm, and that's what always worked for me, at least. That's how I secured my place in Cambridge, that's how I secured my place at ISTA, and I feel like that works.